Good afternoon. I am here today with our mayor, Art Minor. You want to say hi, Mayor?
Hello, Otaga.
We are starting a new video series, and we plan to provide the citizens with a recap of the council meeting within the same week that the council meeting occurred, so that you didn't have to be present for the meeting or watch the meeting through the live broadcast or later on at your leisure. So this is just intended to be a recap. It will not include every item that appeared on the agenda. We will just hit the highlights. So first we will start off with the announcements. And Mayor, I believe that you made a few really important announcements at the meeting the other night. Did you want to share those with the citizens?
Yes. The biggest one was our splash pad. The splash pad is open now. We had a early opening, a grand opening and a ribbon cutting on Saturday, and it went over quite well. We had chicken sandwiches and nuggets from Chick-fil-A for those that attended, and it lasted till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think it's going to be a big splash, pun intended, over the summer for the kids. They really seem to like it. The other item I had was boards. We still have some vacancies on the boards for the city. June 15th will be the cutoff for those of you that are already on boards and up to be reappointed this year. You'll need to reapply by June 15th. So that's the two announcements.
Okay, great, Mayor. And so if you're interested in applying for one of those boards, just know that you can do so on the city's website at www.cowtx.org, or you can just reach out to the city secretary's office. Raquel Guajardo or Samantha Ortega will be happy to help you. And then next, Mayor, the other night we went on and moved into presentations. Under presentations, we had a representative from McCreary, Vilseca, Bragg, and Allen PC, and they were here to provide the council with a report on the collections that they perform for the city. Currently, they perform collection activities for our utility billing accounts that are in delinquent status and our EMS billing. So we encourage all of the citizens, all of our utility customers, make sure that you're paying your utility bills on time. If you do so, you can avoid those additional fees that get tacked on as a result of us having to turn it over to collection. And then, Mayor, I know you have some very exciting news that you wanted to share after the May 1st election. So go ahead, sir.
Yes. May 1st election, we had 3 people reappointed to their current council positions. That was Councilwoman Lovey Downey on place 3, Councilman Andrew Neal to place 4, and Councilwoman Juanita King to place 5. Congratulations to them for their re-election. And then we also had a special election for place 1, and that went to Pat Shelburne. So congratulations to him also.
Okay. And some other election news, just so that y'all are aware, we had 2 other special election items on the May 1st ballot. One was to continue the half-a-cent sales tax for crime control and prevention district activities, and that was approved by the voters overwhelmingly. And then we also had another measure that was a special election on the ballot, and that was to increase our general revenue sales tax rate from 1% to 1.25%. And that too did pass. The margins on that one were a little more narrow, but it passed nonetheless. And the city is very thankful for all of the citizens and registered voters that got out and participated in the May 1st election. Mayor, I know that I get a lot of questions about public comment and public testimony. Some citizens, as well as staff members, get a little confused about what the difference is between the two. Did you want to talk a little bit about that from your perspective as a mayor?
Yes. The public comment section of the agenda is an opportunity for citizens to come and speak about absolutely anything they want to talk about, as long as it is not on the agenda. You can talk about your neighbor's dog, you can talk about the school system, you can talk about absolutely anything that you want to. You're limited to 3 minutes, as everybody is on any of the public speaking. But that's your opportunity to talk to the council and city staff about, like I said, absolutely anything. Now, the public testimony portion, that is for the action items that are on the agenda. Just for example, let me look here real quick. Last one, action to consider appointments to a board. If you had an issue with anybody that was on the list to be appointed, that would be your opportunity. You could speak about that. But again, public comment is for items not on the agenda. Public testimony is items that are on the agenda.
So Mayor, when you say public comment, and you said anything, as long as it's not on the agenda, if I wanted to come sing a song that I wrote to the council, is that something that I could do in public comment?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Like I said, it's, I guess it'd be a good place to audition.
Well, I was just curious because I actually heard that there's a citizen in the city of Austin that does this on a regular basis. And I was just curious if that was something that's allowed.
There is. I've seen some of the videos on that. But yes, you can come and speak, like I said, absolutely anything. So with that, next is the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is, I guess the best way to put that is housekeeping. The monthly financial report, banking statements, things that we do on a regular basis that are routine. That's what goes on the consent agenda. Some confusion with that is that the consent agenda, any item on there, any council member can have it pulled. And when they pull that, then it goes to action items for that meeting. Citizens that wish to have items pulled off the consent agenda and brought before the council, they have the ability to do that. What they need to do is contact the city secretary or a council member and request that it be pulled. Now, we did have a citizen a while back that requested to have an item pulled, but would not give us a reason. It's kind of difficult to pull it and take it to action items and discuss it when we have no idea what the individual would like to have discussed about it.
So if I understand that correctly, Mayor, if a citizen has some public testimony that they would like to provide about an item that's on the consent agenda, they first need to reach out to either yourself or a fellow council member or the city secretary to let that person know, let somebody know, an appropriate authority, that they would like to provide some public testimony on the item. Meaning that they can't just say, I want you to pull it, and then not provide any testimony.
Right, and that's what happened in this instance. If all you want to do is talk about it, you can do so under the public testimony. But like I said, once request to have it pulled, and I'm willing to pull anything off the consent agenda that a citizen would like. But it's very helpful if I know why we want it pulled. So with that, we'll move on to some of the consent agenda items. Number one was consider action to approve an ordinance for relief of commercial properties from the water bill, thanks to Snowden. That's my favorite term for that cold weather we had. And the gist of that was, it's been on the agenda several times with the council giving their input and working with the staff. And the bottom line is the ordinance will allow $150 to a maximum of $300 in leak adjustments to commercial properties that request it. To date, we've only had, I believe it is one
that is correct,
that has requested
one
any
commercial
relief.
Property. That is correct, sir.
But that's what that one was about. Ms. Gardner?
All right. And another item that appeared on the consent agenda on Monday night was the monthly financial report. Once a month, as required by the city charter, the finance department puts the monthly financial report on the agenda. Because it is routine, as the mayor mentioned, is appropriate for the consent agenda, that's where you will find it typically. Speaking. If you have any questions or concerns about the financial stability of the city or the status of revenues versus expenditures, I encourage you to take a look at this report that can be found in the agenda packet for that specific meeting. And after reviewing the report, if you have additional questions or it's just not making sense or it doesn't seem to be clear, feel free to reach out to myself, the city manager, or the finance department. And in particular, Sandra Gibson is our finance director, and either one of us will be able to answer your questions for you. Mayor, I believe another item that we had on the consent agenda that I just wanted to provide a little bit of information to the public about was consent agenda item number 7. And this had to do with our Parks Advisory Board. Just one thing I wanted to point out, this is a very minor correction. So this ordinance originally went to the council a few months back and erroneously included Division 7 of our Code of Ordinances, which currently belongs to the Youth Advisory Council. So all this ordinance that was on the agenda on Monday night was changing that division number that was erroneously assigned to it from Division 7 to Division 8. And I wanted to highlight this because oftentimes I've heard from citizens that there's not enough oversight by the city council. Well, as you can see, something just as minor as this is required to have council approval. Mayor, did you want to expound on that any at all?
Just to say that a large portion of my time in preparing for meetings is going over the consent agenda and all the attaching documents that go with it. Again, a misconception with the consent agenda is that it's just there and the council just approves it. There's a lot of research that goes into that, a lot of questions that I ask finance, for example, on the monthly reports, and get it all straight before the meeting. So it's, like I said, it's just housekeeping. But that's all I really have to add to that.
Okay, very good. So if I understand correctly, a lot of times if something appears on the agenda and you want a little bit of information about it to help your understanding a little bit better or to help you make a better policy decision, and I know as mayor you don't always get a vote, but there's always that chance that you will have a vote in the meeting, because if something ends in a tie, you break that tie. So in an effort, my understanding and talking to you over the years is that in an effort to keep the meeting progressing forward, you oftentimes will ask some of those questions that you feel are just important to you and maybe not the rest of the body ahead of the meeting, so that you don't keep the meeting running too long. Is that a proper interpretation?
Yep. I try to be as prepared as the council.
And so I would assume that since you do that, some of the other council members do as well.
Yes, I would hope they all do that.
Very good. I can tell you that I have a few of them that are pretty consistent about reaching out to me with questions that they have. And then the next section on the agenda, Mayor, I think is action items. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And so item number 1 under action items was really a quick item. It was an item to rescind the disaster declaration for COVID-19 that the mayor executed on March 17th of 2020. And then, Mayor, I believe you wanted to highlight the board appointments, which are items 3, 4, and 5.
Yes, items 3, 4, and 5 are basically the same item. We had a discussion or introduction to it with item 3, and it was the same for 4 and 5, and it was just board appointments. As mayor, I make all recommendations to the boards, to the council, and the council must approve it. So in case there's an issue with any one individual or any one board, even though I'm doing all 3 boards and all 3 of them are basically the same, it gives the council the opportunity to address each board individually. So I appointed several new people, and I moved several people up on, I believe it was the planning and zoning, from alternate positions to their primary positions.
And so, Mayor, in the board appointments, as I understand it, you're absolutely correct that you make the recommendations and then council confirms. And you were further correct in saying that the council does have to approve as you present that to them. But is there an option, let's say that a citizen provides some public testimony about a particular applicant that you weren't aware of, and the council hears that and they raise some concern, could they ask you to reconsider your recommendation? And maybe postpone the item to the next meeting to give you an opportunity to further look into that? Is that typically how you would handle that?
Yes, they would either approve it or they disapprove it.
Gotcha.
And you can't pick and choose. You can't say we're okay with Bob Smith in place 1, but we don't like Sarah Smith in place 2. It's you either approve the list that I've presented or you disapprove it.
Perfect. I understand that completely. But I want to make sure that the citizens had an opportunity, Mayor, to understand further that if they did have concerns, I didn't want them to think that because the council either approves or doesn't approve, that their comments would fall on deaf ears.
No.
Because certainly you would consider those. And possibly even then after their comments, you yourself could ask the council to consider pulling the item from the agenda.
Yes. Well, as the one that puts it on there, I can have it pulled. And this is why I encourage citizens to participate under speaking on the action items. If you've got an issue with it, please bring it forward. or email myself or the council members, and we will take that into consideration.
Absolutely. And then we have items for future agendas that appears on every agenda. This is an opportunity for council members to ask the mayor and city manager to ensure that an item is included on a future agenda that may be of interest to them, or quite possibly one that a citizen has reached out to them about. It does require them to get the concurrence of one other council member to ensure it makes it on the agenda, and the mayor can concur to those requests as well. The mayor, I believe you were going to wrap this up.
Yes, ma'am. Just the executive session we were going to just speak about. Executive session is protected by law. We cannot discuss outside of the executive session anything that occurred in it. But they're just items, contracts, personnel issues, items that don't need to be necessarily brought forward in public purview. And then we do make an announcement once the executive session is over as to any action that we have taken or no action taken. And that's really all we can say about the executive sessions. Like I said, they are protected by law. It's nothing that the city's trying to hide or play secrets with. Okay.
So Monday night, the two items that appeared on the agenda, my understanding or remembrance was that there was no action taken on those.
Correct. There's no action taken on either one of them.
Very good.
So
okay, and before the regular meeting took place around 6:30, we held a workshop at 5:30 to go over boards, committees, and commissions. Councilmember Taylor had asked for this item, and it was an opportunity, as are all of the workshops, an opportunity to have some more open dialogue with the city council and also to gain some direction. At the workshop meetings, the council is not permitted to take any action on any items. And I just wanted to make sure the citizens were aware of the topic. Typically what will happen is when an item is on the workshop agenda, if the proper direction is given by the city council to move it forward to a regular meeting agenda, then you'll see it reappear on that regular meeting agenda. And I know, Mayor, that a lot of times people have commented to you that y'all seem to approve things rather quickly with little to no discussion. Is it possible that that happens because the item had come to y'all a month or two, maybe even 6 months prior and had been discussed in a workshop meeting that maybe the resident just doesn't recall?
yes, and you're right there. We hear that quite frequently that the city council just rubber stamps. And a good example of that is the item number 1 there on the water bill.
The utilities.
That came to a workshop, and that came to council several times. So there was a lot of research done on that, a lot of input from the council and interaction with the city staff. So then when it did come before the council, it had already been discussed. It's, I don't want to use the term beating a dead horse, but it's already been discussed numerous times. And again, I'll mention that the council and myself put a lot of time in between meetings researching the items that are going to be coming up. So we don't just walk into the council chambers at the last minute and, oh, that's on the agenda, and vote on it. So a lot of research. And again, on the workshops, I encourage citizens to attend these. This is your opportunity to interact with the council. It's a less formal setting than it is during a regular council meeting. We can have more of a casual conversation in one regard, and like I said, interact more easily with the citizens. So please attend the workshops, find out what's going on, and give us your input, because we can't make decisions that you'd like us to make if we don't know what they are.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. You'd have to have ESP, right?
I do have that, but it's never right.
Yeah, sometimes we guess wrong, right, on what people want. Okay, awesome. So you were talking about public comment and public testimony earlier when we were going over the regular agenda. I don't see public comment or public testimony on the workshop meeting agenda. And my understanding has always been that that's not included on workshop agendas because there is only a certain amount of time allotted for workshops, and that is 1 hour. Because if it runs over, then that means that your regular meeting starts late because a workshop always comes before the regular meeting. Am I understanding that
Yes.
correctly? Yes. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure the citizens knew it wasn't really that y'all don't want to hear from them. It's just that it would cut your opportunity short from being able to discuss it with staff. And because it's not going to be the final time that topic's discussed, most likely, they will have other opportunities
Yes.
to come and talk about it with the council, or they can email you as the mayor and let you know
Yes.
how they feel about it. All right, great. Well, Mayor, it has been great visiting with you this afternoon about the agenda and giving the citizens an opportunity to hear a quick 10, 15-minute recap of the council meeting. I hope you all will watch and enjoy the time reviewing the agenda video. Look forward to the next one, sir.
Yep, this is what they've asked for, so we're trying to respond in a positive manner to what the citizens request. So I'm looking forward to the next one.
Perfect. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.